Okay, so welcome everybody. My name is Seel. I'm a researcher at the Berkeley National Lab, and I'm joined today by two of my colleagues, Mulvaney Kemp and Anna Cheyette. And together we will be walking you through the highlights of the 2024 edition of our annual utility scale solar report. We will be recording the webinar today, and we will post the video to our website shortly after the event. And all of you will get an email link to the recording and to today's slides. You will be muted throughout the event, so if you have any questions, please do type them into Zoom's Q&A feature, and we will do our best to answer as many questions as possible, both during and after the webinar. I want to thank the US Department of Energy, specifically the Solar Energy Technology Office, for funding this work, and also the many individuals who have contributed to this report. Quick disclaimer, the views that we present today are solely the ones of the authors and do not represent the views of the wider US government. Our team at the Berkeley National Lab has a well-established research portfolio on large solar projects. And while the annual utility scale solar report that we present today is sort of a flagship of those studies, we also have many other recent publications that may be of interest to you, ranging from other annual reports like the interconnection queue analyses, to research on project siting and community engagement, and finally to studies of the market and societal value of renewable energy. We won't have time to really dive into all of these studies today, but I encourage you to go to our website and give them a good look. The best way to stay up to date on all the new research that we're coming up with is to subscribe to our email list. In general, we try to make our research as accessible as possible. And on our website, utilityscalesolar.lbl.gov, you can find a report briefing in PowerPoint format that is very similar to today's slide set, but a little bit more extensive. Also, an Excel workbook with over 50 tabs detailing all the numbers behind the graphs that you will see today, as well as many different ways of slicing the data. We also have interactive data visualizations there and a written executive summary. For time reasons, we will not cover methods and data sources extensively today, but we have detailed documentation of that in the slide deck that is posted online. Our report covers utility-scale solar trends that are related to deployment, technology design, performance, costs and prices, in market and societal value, hybridization with storage, and capacity of solar waiting in the interconnection queues. We will touch on all of those aspects in today's presentation, except for concentrating solar thermal plants, which are only found on our website. And with that, I'll hand it off to Anna to get us started with recent utility-scale solar deployment trends.
Thanks, Yo, for that introduction. So in this first section, I'm going to present some of the overarching deployment and technology trends to provide you with some background for our later discussion. Let's start out with a high-level introduction. Seel and Wood Mackenzie estimate that 22.5 gigawatts DC of utility-scale solar was installed in 2023, which is a record-setting jump of 77% compared to 2022. This large increase in installations can largely be attributed to supply chain stabilization, build-out of delayed projects, and improved economics brought by continued cost declines and the IRA. Utility-scale solar made up 70% of installed solar capacity in 2023 and comprised 65% of total installed solar capacity, a number that's expected to grow in coming years. Comparing solar with other fuel types, we find that solar once again made up the largest share of added generation capacity, comprising 52% of capacity additions in 2023. This is the first year that solar made up more than half of new US grid capacity. Looking ahead, WoodMac projects continued growth in annual solar deployment over the next 6 years. Recent EIA data shows that we already have 70% more solar deployment in the first 9 months of 2024 compared to the same period in 2023, and may even reach 48 gigawatts DC by the end of the year, as the impacts from supply chain challenges continue to ease. Also, an exemption on import tariffs for bifacial modules was revoked in June 2024, and modules imported under the exemption must be deployed within 180 days of the termination, which is likely to lead to an increase in 2024 deployment. The analysis that we present today focuses on a subset of the sample shown in this chart, only including projects that are larger than 5 megawatts AC. What sets our analyses apart from some other assessments is that our findings are rooted in a broad empirical sample and rely less on modeled assumptions. Our sample for 2023 comprises 221 new projects that were completed in the last year that account for 18.5 gigawatts AC. Next slide. Deployment is not uniformly spread across the United States. Texas, seen here in dark gray, again led the nation in installed capacity in 2023 with 4.3 gigawatts, making up nearly a quarter of newly installed capacity. California, seen here in dark blue, came in second with 2.6 gigawatts, its most since 2016. In terms of total deployed utility scale solar, ERCOT, or Texas, still lags both the California ISO and the Southeast, but the gap is narrowing. As a percentage of in-state generation, California's solar market share reached 28% in 2023, while Nevada, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Hawaii all surpassed 15%. Despite large capacity additions, solar still only makes up 5.8% of generated electricity in Texas. On a national scale, solar made up 5.6% of overall generation in 2023. This map shows all utility scale solar built through 2023, with the size of the points varying by the size of the project. Diamonds show tracking projects and circles show fixed tilt, with pluses for hybrid solar storage projects. You can see that utility scale solar is now well represented throughout the country, except for the central wind belt areas in the upper Midwest. Montana and South Dakota saw their first large-scale solar projects in 2023, as did Alaska, marking solar's expansion into less sunny regions. Just North Dakota and New Hampshire still await their first utility-scale solar project. In 2023, hybrid solar storage projects once again, in 2023, hybrid solar storage projects once again had record deployment with 52 new projects, both as new hybrids and as battery retrofits to existing solar plants. California added the most storage capacity in 2023, followed by the non-ISO West. The Inflation Reduction Act provides a 10% tax credit bonus for solar projects situated in energy communities, which are primarily areas with significant employment or revenue from fossil fuels. As can be seen in the chart, over the past few years, about half of projects were sited in locations that received energy community designation in 2023. Thus far, we have not seen an increase in siting of utility-scale solar projects in energy communities, but interconnection processes take several years, and we'll be continuing to monitor this trend. Here we compare projects built with tracking technologies versus those set at a constant angle or a fixed tilt. In 2023, single-axis tracking, where panels follow the sun's east-west movement, continues to dominate utility-scale solar installations, accounting for 96% of new capacity. The upfront cost premium of trackers has fallen over time, resulting in more favorable economics for tracking projects due to their increased energy generation compared to fixed tilt. Fixed tilt projects are increasingly only being built on particularly challenging sites, such as those with complex terrain or wind loading. We measure the average strength of the solar resource at a given location using a measure called the global horizontal irradiance, or GHI. The green bars on this chart show median long-term GHI by installation year. The blue triangles show the distribution for fixed tilt, and red squares show the distribution for tracking systems. Early installations of solar in the Southwest had the most amount of sunshine. Since 2014, median GHI has declined as costs have come down and solar has expanded into less sunny regions of the country. We can see a large difference in median GHI for fixed tilt compared with tracking projects, with fixed tilt projects increasingly relegated to less sunny sites. All else equal, the build out at lower GHI sites dampens the average performance across all systems in our sample, which we'll discuss later. Next, we'll move into the performance of our utility scale PV fleet, which we measure using a metric called the capacity factor. If you're not familiar with this term, it measures the amount of electricity that a plant generates over a given time period relative to the amount of electricity that it could have generated if it were operating at full capacity 100% of the time over that same time period. We'll focus on annual net capacity factors denominated in AC terms. We source net generation data from EIA Form 923, which excludes any generation data that was curtailed, and we only start with the first full calendar year of operation for each plant. Some outliers or low-quality data are dropped, leaving us with a performance sample of 1,253 plants, totaling 61 gigawatts. The median capacity factor among projects in our sample is 24%, but there's wide variation among projects, with a low of just 7% and a high of 35%. This plot shows cumulative capacity factor with the three main drivers of performance, which are the solar resource, or the GHI, whether the plant has tracking or is fixed tilt, and the DC-AC ratio, or ILR. The ILR is how much the DC array capacity is oversized compared to the AC inverter capacity. And since we express capacity factors in AC terms, a higher ILR should boost capacity factors. You can see that all else equal, higher solar resource, a higher ILR, and using tracking technology over fixed tilt all improve project performance. We can also break out capacity factor by region. Unsurprisingly, we see that average capacity factors are highest in the sunniest regions, with CAISO, the non-ISO West, and SPP taking the lead, and lowest in northern regions, such as ISO New England. You can also see in this graph, if we compare the red and the blue columns, that single-axis tracking tends to provide more of a benefit in sunnier regions like California and the West, compared to in less sunny regions. As a result, we see a greater proportion of projects in these regions built with tracking. We can also look at how capacity factors vary by operation year. Here we're showing cumulative capacity factor by operation date. So the plants that were completed in 2022 over on the right side, these have just their capacity factor of the full calendar year 2023 included. Plants built in 2021 have both 2022 and 2023 data included, and so on. What we see here is that after an increase in average capacity factors through 2013, average performance has since stagnated and declined. This trend can largely be explained by the competing drivers shown on the lines, with tracking increasing while the average site-level solar resource has decreased since 2013. This trend is not necessarily a bad thing, since it's a sign that solar is competitive in more regions across the country, but it does have a downward impact on the average capacity factor. One thing to note here is this decline in average capacity factors in our latest cohort of projects, which were completed in 2022. We saw a relatively large drop in average capacity factors compared to prior years, which we cannot explain by a decline in average irradiance. So we'll continue to monitor this trend to see if it persists in future years or if generation in 2023 of this cohort was an anomaly. Lastly, on this slide, we show the degradation over time for different age cohorts of projects. Plotted here are the index capacity factors from a fixed effects regression model that is meant to control for the site level variation across different plants and to isolate the impact of project age on plant performance. We find that the rate that plants degrade varies by vintage. Newer plants built since 2017 degrade at a rate of 0.9% per year, while older plants built before 2013 degrade at a rate of 1.47% per year. Either of these degradation rates is larger than what is typically agreed to in PPAs. One caveat here is that we have a relatively small sample of older projects, but we'll be continuing to monitor this trend as the sample grows. And now I'll hand it back to Yo to take us through some CapEx findings.
Okay, I thought that Julie was leading this section, but I can take that on as well. We can briefly share here some of our research findings on CapEx. So what we're focusing on is upfront capital costs of projects. We have a very substantial data sample on this, about 1,280 projects, totaling about 66 gigawatts for historical projects that came online up until 2022. We have privileged data access via an EIA NDA to data that is reported directly by developers to EIA, and are able to include that. For more recent 2023 numbers, we are including a variety of primary data sources, including regulatory filings, but also public press mentions or SEC filings, etc. What we overall see is that despite a lot of inflationary pressures, utility-scale solar has been able, on a national average at least, to maintain its capex. So in 2023, it even fell a little bit by about 8% to now $1.43 per watt AC. And so this is all denominated here in real 2023 dollars, taking into account the effects of inflation. We also know that single axis trackers are slightly more expensive than fixed tilt installations, about 26 cents per watt AC based on our data. But overall, as you likely know, there's been this enormous success story of reducing capex over the years by nearly 80% since the beginning of the industry. There's quite a variation in capex numbers based on project size. So smaller projects up to 50 megawatts tend to have higher capital cost, about like $1.60 per watt AC or so, while larger projects above 50 megawatts tend to have slightly lower costs, around $1.40 or so per watt AC. And if we denominate that in dollars per watt DC, you can see this this trend even more strongly, as shown here in the bottom left. So here is some numbers on OPEX. We get that from FOCFOM 1, where utilities that own solar generation have to file annual reports detailing exactly how much they spent on operating those projects. We have a growing sample there, now nearly 150 projects in our online tracker, not tracker, on our online website, in the data book. We have, for each project that was listed there, we have detailed the reported values. What you overall see is that reported OPEX has declined over time, both in dollars per kilowatt year or in dollars per megawatt hour, to about like $11 per kilowatt year or $7 per megawatt hour. What we also see is that the older projects have higher ongoing O&M costs, whereas newer projects tend to at least start out with lower O&M costs, but at least among the most recent cohort from 2019 through 2022, we see a slight increase in OpEx over time. And with that, I'll switch over to LCOE. Just a quick reminder, if you have any questions, please do put them in the Q&A box, and we'll try to answer them as much as possible. So we can take this rich CapEx data and the OpEx data that we just heard about, and then the performance data that Anna presented earlier to estimate the levelized generation cost associated with utility scale solar over the entire project's lifetime. And that is known as levelized cost of energy, or LCOE. And we complement our project level detailed data with broader fleet-wide averages or assumptions on project design life, weighted average cost of capital, and tax obligations. And our methodology aligns here with NREL's annual technology baseline methods that are very well documented. So over here, we show the generation-weighted average LCOE as a line, and then by online date with individual project level estimates shown as bubbles. These numbers here do not yet include any kind of tax credit benefit that is available to solar, so they're a little higher than what is ultimately the case. Similar to the underlying CapEx and OpEx trends, solar's LCOE has fallen by 80% since 2010, and that has been aided by increased project design life. But the expansion into less sunny regions and less favorable financing terms have kept LCOE stable over the past few years, with 2023 projects averaging about $46 per megawatt hour. Now here we focus only on recent installations, and we examine LCOE variation by region, again, before applying any kind of tax credit benefit. And you can see that solar-rich areas like the non-ISO West, ERCOT, CAISO, or the non-ISO Southeast in general have lower generation costs in the upper 30s to lower 40s dollars per megawatt hour, while regions like ISO New England and New York ISO have higher average generation costs in the upper 70s per megawatt hour. Due to their lower solar irradiance. They also tend to have smaller project sizes and much greater project level variation in LCOE. The Inflation Reduction Act introduced the Production Tax Credit, or PTC, for large solar projects alongside tax credit bonuses for energy communities and increased domestic content. Whether the PTC or the older investment tax credit, ITC, is more beneficial depends primarily on two dimensions: the project costs and project output. The left column of this graph here shows how LCOE varies by project cost and performance using the ITC, and then the center column shows the same for the PTC. Finally, the right column compares the ITC and the PTC. So the red tiles in the rightmost column show that the ITC is favored for high cost, lower performing projects, while blue tiles show that the PTC is favored for lower cost, higher performing projects. If a project is able to stack bonuses, the ITC tends to get more attractive, and that can be seen here with the deeper reds in the lower right graph. Unfortunately, we don't have good data on domestic content, which is another bonus content, bonus tax credit, and thus we have excluded this bonus from our analyses. Of the new projects coming online in 2023, for which we have LCOE estimates, we find that 73% would fare better with the PTC. While the PTC seems to result in lower costs, it also comes with increased performance risk, and that is something that we have not captured fully in this analysis. Anna mentioned already that half of the new utility-scale solar capacity that was built in 2023 qualifies for the energy community bonus. Projects in our sample that are in these communities have lower capex, and that results in a lower LCOE even before any incentives are applied, and that is shown here in the pale yellow color. The base ITC or PTC then reduces the LCOE further to about $34 per megawatt hour for projects outside of energy communities. Projects in energy communities can lower the LCOE by an additional $2 per megawatt hour, reaching $26 per megawatt hour. That is shown here in dark red. So even though the ITC gets increasingly attractive with stacked bonus adders, we find that out of our 23 projects in energy communities, 16 would still do better with the PTC. Now here, we compare the generation-weighted average pre-incentive generation costs in yellow with the post-incentive costs shown in dark gray. And due to the new tax credits, we observe a widening gap between those two measures. The more favorable tax credit, so either PTC or ITC, whatever is best, reduces the national average LCOE for new solar projects from the $46 per megawatt hour to only $30 per megawatt hour. Again, of course, these are national average numbers, and they come with wide variations both within and between regions. And now I'll hand it off to Julie to contrast these numbers with power purchase agreement prices.
Thanks, Yo. Power purchase agreement prices are another important financial indicator about the solar industry, and we've assembled a database of around 500 utility scale PV+PPA contracts, and these are primarily for contracts with utilities, where the utility is the off-taker. These PPA prices reflect the bundled price of electricity and RECs as sold by the project owner. And what we find, shown here in this red dashed line, is that PPA prices have declined along with the LCOE over time. And for the last 8 years, these levelized PPA prices have closely tracked or even hovered slightly below the LCOE accounting for tax credits, which, as Yo mentioned, is the gray line shown here. You can see, oh, could you go back?
Yeah.
And you can see since 2016, we've really kind of closely followed that curve. What this suggests is that developers are generally passing through the value of the tax credits to buyers in the form of lower PPA prices. And that's the type of pattern you would expect to see in a market that's, efficient and competitive. Next slide. Here on the left, we're seeing the individual PPA prices that underpin that kind of high-level trend we just saw, starting with PPAs that are executed in 2016 on the far left, all the way up to 2024 on the right. And each of these circles is one PPA contract. The size of the circle corresponds to the contract capacity, whereas the color is the project location, grouped into some high-level regions. Well, you can see a few outliers here. For the most part, contracts fall within a pretty tight band of the national trend. And you can see in around 2019, the prices kind of bottom out and stagnate for a couple of years after that. But in more recent years, like 2022 and onward, you'll see somewhat of an increasing trend. You might also notice that there are kind of fewer circles in recent years. Our sample is relatively thin, and I'll give at least 2 reasons for that. One is simply that we tend to collect PPA prices retroactively, after a project becomes operational. And so we anticipate, in future years, we might be able to gain more insight into the contracts signed recently. The second is more of a fundamental reason, which is that the market has shifted away from utility PPAs toward corporate PPAs. These corporate PPAs are, often virtual, settled financially, and because of that, they aren't subject to the same regulatory reporting requirements as utilities. And because of that, we have less visibility into their pricing. It's harder to get access to that information. However, luckily, there are companies out there who are very knowledgeable about this corporate PPA market, and they publish aggregate information about what offer prices they're seeing. Level 10 Energy and Trio are two such companies, and in the figure on the right, I'm comparing their average prices, which are the orange and the red lines, to LBL's PPA sample, which is shown in the bars. All three of these sources show increasing prices since 2021. Level 10 and Trio for the corporate PPAs report both higher prices on average and a greater price increase, but the kind of direction is the same across the sources. There are several factors that are driving these increases. Some of them include high interest rates, long lead times for key pieces of equipment, and other types of long timelines like interconnection and permitting have created a PPA market that is supply constrained. And at the same time of these supply constraints, there's high demand due to approaching emissions targets, for example, 2025 and 2030 goals set by corporations and utilities. All right, back to Yo to talk about the market value.
Thank you, Julie. I see that we already have lots of questions coming in. Please do keep them coming. We'll try to answer as many afterwards or get back to you if we don't have time today. So in this section, we'll analyze the historical market value of solar generation within the 7 organized wholesale power markets managed by ISOs and additional 18 non-ISO balancing areas. Our analysis focuses on location-specific marginal energy and capacity value of utility-scale solar. We've developed plant-level hourly generation estimates based on project-specific characteristics and historical irradiance. These were then adjusted by ISO-wide hourly solar records and plant-level monthly or annual generation records. In the organized wholesale markets, our solar energy value is simply the product of real-time energy prices at the nearest node and coincident solar generation. And I saw one question in the Q&A box asking what are we doing in non-ISO regions. It depends a little bit. In the West, we do use Western EIM or energy imbalance market price nodal data. So we try to have as a refined estimate of local prices as possible. The solar capacity value represents its contribution to resource adequacy and is determined by the capacity credit for solar, which we evaluate based on local market rules, and the coincident zonal or local capacity prices. Monetizing this capacity value can be a little bit more challenging for some solar project owners due to additional performance requirements or other market restrictions. The total market value of solar is then the sum of the energy and the capacity values expressed on a pre-curtailment basis for where we have data about that available. We exclude thus any other potential revenue streams, such as ancillary services, renewable energy credit value, or savings from avoided transmission demand charges. Our market value can thus be viewed as representing just the very simple revenue that a merchant solar plant would receive from simply selling into wholesale markets. This map here shows the variation in solar value for utility scale plants in 2023. The color of the bubbles indicates the combined energy and capacity value, while the size indicates project capacity. You can see that values vary between regions, right? It's very low in CAISO, about $27 per megawatt hour, but very high in ERCOT, $67 per megawatt hour, and also in the Southeast, ranging on average between $40 and $65 per megawatt hour there. But the values also vary within regions, and that is driven by differences in generation profiles, but also locational energy and capacity prices, and transmission constraints. So for example, solar value is boosted in Northern California, but also in Southern SPP or Southern New York ISO. You can visit again our project website for interactive visualizations on this and really explore that in much more detail. Now, we summarize here these plant-specific values into broader regional averages. Solar's market value across all the model projects in 2023 was $45 per megawatt hour, which is quite similar to the pre-pandemic levels. The energy value is shown here in blue, and it is really the dominant component in most regions. And wholesale energy prices, and thus the energy value, in general has declined since 2014, and that was predominantly driven by falling natural gas prices with the shale gas boom, except for a brief spike in gas prices in 2021, 2022, following Russia's invasion of the Ukraine. So while solar's energy value now fell again in 2023, there's one region where it remained steady, and that is Texas, where summer heat waves and record demand levels kept pricing high, even though ERCOT reduced its price cap. Now in 2024, so far, we haven't seen similar extreme weather events. So because of that, we likely will see a little bit of a value decline in Texas this year. To assess, so even though this market value has declined over time, what I just mentioned, the falling PPA prices have largely kept pace until they started rising, as Julie mentioned already, in 2021. So in 2023, newly negotiated PPAs exceed wholesale market value in CAISO, MISO, PJM, and New York ISO, indicating potential economic challenges for solar. In contrast, in SPP and an ERCOT, a hypothetical off-taker who just signed the PPA would have paid less than what they otherwise would have to pay in the wholesale spot market for purchasing that same energy. To now assess whether solar provided above or below average value relative to other market participants, we can compare solar's value to the average wholesale energy and capacity price, also known as the flat block of power that basically just churns out energy 24/7. The ratio of solar's value to this flat block value is the solar value factor. That indicates whether solar's value is above or below average. This value factor normalizes broader value trends over time and helps us analyze the effects of rising solar penetration. At higher solar penetration levels, solar's marginal operating costs that are quite low push wholesale prices down. And also the marginal capacity credit declines as peak net loads shift to later hours. So with the example of CAISO, solar's value factor fell from 123% early on in 2012 to now just 38% in 2023, as penetration increased from 2% to 27%. Similar trends can be seen in some of the neighboring regions that are connected through the energy imbalance markets like Arizona and Nevada. For most of the other ISOs and the southeastern balancing areas, solar's market value remains high though, reflecting its good alignment with above average energy prices at lower penetration levels. Now we can break down the origin of these value differences between solar and the flat block of power by examining the effects of location, curtailment, and the generation profile. And on the right side, you can start here with a flat block of power at all price nodes and in an ISO, and we then just adjust for the effects of location shown in gray here, which overall has a rather limited effect. But then we assess the differences due to solar's generation profile, and that is shown here in gold. And you can see this is really the dominant factor, especially in SPP, MISO, and ERCOT, but it's negative in CAISO and ISO New England. And finally, we adjust for curtailments in dark blue here, impacting, of course, the solar value negatively in CAISO and ERCOT. Those are the only regions for which we have good curtailment data. Now, we can synthesize the insights from our generation cost analysis with that of our market value analysis. And the left graph shows just that, namely at a national value level, the average energy and capacity market value that exceeded the post-incentive LCOE for the past 3 years. So plants that were built in 2023, for example, provided on average $15 per megawatt hour more in market value than their generation costs. The right graph on this slide indicates that projects built since 2019 have delivered greater wholesale market value than their generation costs on a national average level, yielding over $1 billion in benefits. But older projects faced higher generation costs than the market revenues alone. And so this narrow net value here for these older projects is negative. Now, while many companies buy solar electricity for economic reasons because it makes sense, others also prioritize public health and climate benefits. And we've analyzed large-scale solar projects in regions where solar generation is above 4%, which enables us to do some statistical analyses to estimate avoided emissions from coal and natural gas generators in 2023. And these avoided emissions were then converted to dollar equivalents using values from the scientific literature and air quality models. And of course, the benefits vary by region, but on average equate to about $25 per megawatt hour for US public health benefits and $100 per megawatt hour in global climate benefits. So if we compare the market and the environmental value with generation costs, both before and after tax credits, we find that the net value of all solar that has been deployed so far was positive in all regions, except in ISO New England. And on a national level, the net value that utility-scale solar projects offered was about $14 billion in 2023. And with that, I'll pass it on to Julie.
A moment ago, Yo was covering the value decline in standalone solar as penetration levels increase. One way to address this is to add storage to a project, which allows the owner to shift energy from lower price periods to higher value periods. And I've already seen some folks asking questions about this in the chat. So hopefully we'll get to some of your questions in this section. I'm going to share trends specific to PV plus battery hybrid plants here today. There are other types of hybrids, like maybe you're interested in solar plus wind hybrids. And we have a dedicated report on hybrids that's linked here on the screen. It's emp.lbl.gov/hybrid, and that will cover broader hybridization trends. The graph on the left here shows the utility scale PV deployment over time, segmented based on whether the project is standalone solar in blue or a type of hybrid in green. The large-scale PV plus battery hybrid build-out did start slowly in 2016. You can kind of barely detect it here, but what you'll see is that it really took off in 2021. And it continued at a similar pace in 2022. The size of those green bars is similar. And in 2023, there was a deployment record of PV battery hybrids. There were 4.4 gigawatts of newly built solar that was paired with storage and 0.9 gigawatts of existing standalone solar built in previous years that was retrofit in 2023 with batteries. Moving on to the right-hand graph, we're going to shift our perspective from solar capacity to the storage capacity for those batteries that are coupled with PV. And you can see in the blue that most hybrid storage is in California, in CAISO. But there was also in 2023 a lot deployed in the rest of the Western United States, which is the light blue bar. Next slide. Now we're going to look at the cost of these hybrid projects. The graph on the left breaks out component costs for the subset of hybrid projects, just those that are newly built, not the retrofits, where we have this type of detailed data. Focusing on 2022, we had 22 projects for which we could assess this kind of component level cost breakdown, and the mean battery cost adder, which is the orange bar, was around $1 per watt, which is about 38% of the overall hybrid plant's cost. We don't have enough data yet to do this type of component level analysis for 2023. Hopefully we'll be able to update that next year, but we can look at how the combined system costs for hybrids changed over time. And from 2022 to 2023, there was a 16% decline in the average. And this happened even though the storage that was built in 2023 had longer duration and greater, capacity. And we know that the cost of a hybrid plant depends on these factors, which is what's shown in the graph on the right. The configuration affects costs. Each circle here is one hybrid project, and the y-axis is this combined system cost, whereas the x-axis or the horizontal axis is the battery capacity relative to the PV capacity. And so each of the plants in our sample are represented here, and you can see that intuitively, costs increase as the battery capacity increases. Next, we're going to discuss how these hybrid projects are priced in PPAs. Just as we collected power purchase agreement prices for standalone solar plants, we also do this for PV plus storage hybrids. The graph on the left is showing the time trend in PPA prices, split out for Hawaii in orange, where prices tend to be higher, and for all other states in blue. This is the all-in price of the hybrid plant. There's a subset of PPA contracts that explicitly break out the PV price from the storage price. And that's what brings us to the graph on the right, where we are able to measure the incremental cost of adding a battery to your standalone solar PPA. We refer to that incremental cost as the levelized storage adder. And that's shown over time from 2017 to the present here. Looking at both of these graphs, we can see that as with standalone PV PPA prices, both all-in hybrid prices and storage adders have been increasing in the last few years. Again, we don't have time to go into all of the details around hybrid projects, which have a number of kind of unique characteristics, but I refer you again to our hybrid specific report for more. And the last topic I want to cover today is to talk about utility scale solar activity and interconnection queues. We've collected data from 51 queues around the country, and what we're showing in the next slide is the capacity of interconnection requests by resource and over time. Could we go to the next slide? So this leftmost cluster of bars here represents solar capacity that's active in interconnection queues. And the far right bar there is at the end of 2023. And what you'll see is that there was 1,085 gigawatts of solar capacity active in these queues. Around 30% is in green, which means it was a new request last year. And roughly half of all solar that's proposed for interconnection is paired with a battery. That's the striped portions of the bars. Zooming out from just solar to look across this figure at all of the different resource types, you can really see that solar and storage are dominating the active capacity, followed distantly by wind, followed by gas-fired power plants. The next slide shows the geographic breakdown of where solar is proposed in the US. The non-ISO West has the most queued solar, but all regions that accepted new interconnection requests in 2023, which is not all regions, some regions were not accepting new requests last year, but those that were all saw an increase, with CAISO and the Southeast region having large jumps in particular. Next slide. Most of this solar capacity proposes to be online by 2028. That's what's shown on the left, where The bars are measuring the active capacity by proposed online year, and the color of the segments indicates how far along the project is in the interconnection process, with the darker segments being closest to the end of the process. These online dates are just an indicator of a developer's plan at the time that they submitted the request. And even considering that, I want to point out that historical completion rates for projects are low. That's what's shown on the right-hand side here, where for solar that submitted an interconnection request between 2000 and 2018, so they've had, a good amount of time to go through the process, only 10% of those have ultimately become operational. There's still 15% that is, kind of still active in the queue, but the vast majority of projects ultimately withdraw. And the reasons for high withdrawal rate are vast. Some of them are tied to the interconnection process itself. For example, high cost to interconnect. But others are really unrelated. For example, a project might fail to find an off-taker or secure permitting and withdraw for those reasons. Similar to hybrids, this is just kind of an overview, a sample of the information we have about interconnection and solar and interconnection queues. For more information, you can visit emp.lbl.gov/queues. Yo, do you want to wrap things up?
Yeah, thank you very much for Julie and Anna for presenting here today with me and putting all that hard work into the underlying analysis. And thank you all for spending an hour with us today. We went over a lot of content and it was quite fast paced. So if you want to examine some things in more detail, please do visit utilityscalesolar.lbl.gov, where you can find this slide deck and some additional slides, the extensive workbook with a lot of the underlying data, and interactive visualizations. And we will also post today's recording there. If you do want to stay up to date with other work that our team churns out, please do subscribe to our email address that you can find on our website as well. And yeah, if you have any other further thoughts on future analyses that we could do leveraging our data sets, or have other questions that we did not get answered today, please do reach out to Julie or me. And speaking of questions, I see that there are still a number open. One was about Matthew Metzoff asked whether or not we had done any research to predict at what point future storage deployment will stabilize or reverse the decline in solar value factors that is occurring, especially in the southwestern US. And no, we have not done that specifically here. You would need to run like a capacity expansion model and probably some, dispatch model for that. Our team has historically not really done such forward-looking analyses. There are many folks at NREL that do that with REITs and Plexus. We know that CAISO has seen quite a bit of storage growth already, really a lot, but it was not enough to stem on, for all solar projects, really the tide, right? Given that the value factor continued to decline in CAISO. Now we do see a lot of further deployment of storage, as Julie pointed out. The era of standalone solar is really over in CAISO and most of the WEC. Nearly all of it gets hybridized. And we actually are just starting a new research project where we want to look at the empirical dispatch profiles of these new hybrids and see how they are operated, collaborating with ISOs and really doing in-depth investigations of how that affects the value proposition of these new projects. But for some storage may get deployed as standalone, and that will help older projects that otherwise are not coupled with storage, but for the most part it will benefit the solar projects that have the co-located storage deployed going forward. Anna and Julie, if you see any questions that you want to jump on, please please do so. I'll take one more question here on the wholesale market valuation analysis. That was first the question on how the shale gas boom affected solar prices or solar value propositions. And that is just fairly simple. You have a supply curve in the electricity markets where more expensive generators get called on in general less often. They're ordered by their marginal generation costs. In general, natural gas projects are those marginal generators. And if they have access to cheap natural gas, they can offer the electricity for less than what they would offer it if natural gas prices were high. And because they are the marginal generators in many hours, they set the clearing price and thus the price for wholesale electricity that solar can earn. And thus with lower natural gas prices, the solar value in general has gone down. And we've done some regression analyses showing really that that was one of the dominant effects contributing to the solar value decline over time. And the brief solar value boost that we saw in 2022. Similarly, there was another question on capacity value, specifically on Colorado and PACE. So what we have done for the non-ISO balancing areas that do not feature an organized capacity market is that we looked at FERC EQR data, where IPPs and utilities have to report electricity trades for energy and capacity. And we looked for broader regions what the average price for firm capacity was that was traded. And then compared that or multiplied that price with the capacity credit that we calculated by looking at the contributions of solar to the top 100 net load hours. And in many, especially in the southeastern BAs, this capacity price is quite high. Utilities are willing to trade or spend a lot of money for that firm capacity. And so solar, in theory, can earn a high capacity value. Now, as I mentioned, it may be difficult for a developer to really monetize that capacity value, but solar really does do a contribution to meeting the peak loads and the peak loads there. And that is what is reflected in our capacity value. There was a question on the nascent market of agri-photovoltaics. We don't have a strong research portfolio on agrivoltaics, but NREL is working on that, and we've actually talked with them whether or not it would be possible to match their sample of projects that are really focusing on agrivoltaics to ours and see whether or not there are structural differences in costs or performance. As far as I know, many of these projects are still relatively small scale, given that we focus predominantly on large projects above 5 megawatts. I'm not sure how much of an overlap there is, but we will continue to investigate this. There was one question on O&M costs and changes in O&M costs, why they decreased over the last decade and what drove this decrease. Again, unfortunately, we only see the final all-in costs and not necessarily the individual service agreements, the scope of the services and how they may have changed over time. We just know that on average, people pay less for O&M contracts than what they used to. In 2019, we did a survey of developers asking a little bit more about the reasons. And back then, we found that overall the service scope was getting smaller. Now, that data is a little older, and unfortunately, I don't have much more refined analysis of what is really driving that cost decline, whether that is increased automation, right? There are more companies now using robotics or better preventative maintenance, or whether it is just lower willingness to spend money on OpEx than what it was in the early days. Certainly, PPAs have gotten less rich, right? And so in the very early days, when you had PPAs above $100 per megawatt hour, you were willing to really invest more money potentially into the ongoing operation and making sure that the output of your project really is high, because you were losing a lot of money in that PPA. And I think with that, we're at the top of the hour. And we'll wrap this up. We'll try to get to those questions that we weren't able to answer live today here. I thank you again for all your time and your attention. And yeah, hope you have a good day. Stay in touch with us if you have any further thoughts or research ideas. Thank you.